In this video, I would like to tell you about a city that's mentioned in most of the history books of the Civil War, and the name of that city is Cumberland Gap. And surprisingly, Cumberland Gap looks about the same today as it did when I would go through there with my family back in the 40s. The Gap, on one side of the Gap in Tennessee, where Cumberland Gap is located, on the other side is Middlesboro, Kentucky. We used to go through Cumberland Gap as we went across the gap over the mountain into Middlesboro. But here a few years ago, they built a tunnel through the Gap into the Kentucky side going into Middlesboro, and it's a beautiful multi-million-dollar tunnel. But what happened is they closed the road that went up over by Cudjoe's Cave, so now you go around Cumberland Gap through the tunnel into Middlesboro, and if you're going up into Virginia, you go in the other direction, and Cumberland Gap has more or less been surrounded. That's a good thing for those that want to keep an area looking like it did, for many years. But it's a unique place. There is one motel there, and at one time, it's been a few years since I've been there, someone had opened a little country restaurant, in fact, had fantastic food. But if you want to see a town that's prominent in the history of our country, and especially the Civil War, I would suggest a trip to Cumberland Gap. But you won't find any commercial things. I mean, they don't have, amusement parks. And of course, if you go up to the pinnacle and overlook the valley and overlook Cumberland Gap, when you go down the pathway, it's a sidewalk that the Park Service has built to the overlook. There's one part, when you get there, it's marked off. And you can stand in 3 states at the same time. You can stand in Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And just before you get to Cumberland Gap, you go through Harrogate, and at Harrogate they have Lincoln Memorial University. And there's a museum there at LMU, a museum about Abraham Lincoln. So if you're looking for a unique visit, you can go to Lincoln Memorial University and go to the fine museum that they have there, and then you're only 3 or 4 miles from Cumberland Gap. So anyway, that's my comments about Cumberland Gap. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good day. We'll see you. Bye-bye.